Welcome to today's edition of Good Morning, Anambra. My name is Ajinichuku Okabwe.
And my name is Nonye Nwokoye. How are you? Hope you had a wonderful night rest. Thank God for a beautiful day, and thank you so much for joining us for today.
My name is Obina. A very exciting Wednesday morning on Good Morning Anambra. Today's edition, of course, I'll be sharing with you some of the headlines on the tabloids across the nation this morning. Of course, a lot of things to talk about. Probably, I believe the situation in River State will be probably one of the most...
yeah. All right, you stand by as we begin the show with the press review.
As a transition here, we'll begin with the news making rounds on ABS website. And the first news we have for you on ABS website this morning is 3 years in office, Soludo inaugurates new general hospital in Okpoko. We also have Rivers crisis. Tinubu declares state of emergency, suspends governor, deputy legislature. Soludo optimistic free distribution of 2.2 million coconut palm seedlings will pull families out of poverty. Why my government prioritizes hard to reach council areas. That's coming from the working governor, Soludo. We have university lecturer Ufuaro asks Soludo to domesticate one youth, two skills initiative in communities. Farming season, Umunebe village, Obanka, celebrates 2025 Organiru Festival. Also, federal lawmaker Abudike asks other governors to emulate Governor Soludo. Senate sets up committee to investigate alleged annexion of Nigeria's mangrove islands, maritime territories by Cameroon. That's all we have for you on ABS website.
Okay, quickly, the first paper for review, the Daily Sun newspaper. Hurricane. Tinubu sweeps out Governor Fubara, lawmakers. With riders there, President declares emergency rule in Rivers, suspends democratic government, appoints ex-naval chief sole administrator for initial 6 months. Atiku, Bode George, Flay move Senate to take decision on president's action today. Also in the paper, Senate moves to regulate bloggers, social media. New twist. Nnamdi Kanu opts for self-defense in trial. Only dialogue can end sit-at-home in Southeast. IPOB activities, military. Okay, Wike revokes PDP Secretariat land title, hardship viral video. Nigerians, I can't see that. Mba flags of construction. Okay, Senate probes Cameroon's alleged whatever. I can't see that very well. All right, so take a look at the next paper, the Daily Times newspaper.
All right, on the Daily Times, we have Tinubu declares state of emergency in Rivers State. And we also have, still on the Daily Times, Senate to probe illegal annexation of Nigerian land by Cameroon. We also have declaration of state of emergency, risks of political manipulation. This is coming from the man Atiku, former vice president. Natasha represents women. Women Odile says EWHC demands thorough investigation. All right, these are the major headlines. All right, you also have reps pass tax reforms bill, retains VAT at 7.5%. UK revokes title document of PDP secretariat in Abuja.
All right.
Up next is the Punch newspaper, and the banner headline is talking about emergency rule. Soldiers' tank moves into Rivers government house. And the rider there says NBA lawyers say suspension illegal. PDP, LP, Atiku, Pandev, slam Tinubu. National Assembly to debate president's state of emergency today. And we have Fubara blames pro-Wike lawmakers. IBAS take over. And we have Wike versus Fubara government assembly members, turbulent road to suspension. Finally, reps pass Tinubu 4 tax bills. And we have federal government deducts state 800 billion naira allocation to pay foreign debt. Attacks on disco, Nigerian military is lawless. That's what we have in there. Fuel imports, NNPCL loses bid to stop Dangote's 100 billion naira suit. And then we have Libya to deport over 170 Nigerians. We have here, Mobat's father asks courts to quash legal advice, freeing Naira Marley. Interesting. 14, 9 mobile accused of blocking subscribers from switching operators. National Assembly probes Cameroon's alleged encroachment on Nigerian lands.
All right, on Daily Independent newspaper, we have some stories making the headlines. Tinubu draws criticisms over state of emergency in Rivers, with riders there suspend governor, deputy, House of Assembly members, appoints Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, retired sole administrator. It reeks of political manipulation, outright bad faith coming from Atiku. It's unconstitutional to suspend Fubara, deputy, lawyers. Tinubu has just declared state of anarchy in Rivers, says Kuye, and the state of emergency, vicious violation of constitution. That's coming from Bode George. PDP rejects emergency rule in Rivers, says it's state capture. Now moving on, revocation of our national headquarters right of occupancy aimed at stifling opposition. That's coming from the PDP. Penga Singh insists on reinstatement of 18 sacked oil gas workers. FARC allocations soar by 43% to 15.26 trillion naira in 2024. Senate to probe annexation of Nigerian land by Cameroon. Explosions rock 2 Rivers oil facilities amid political tensions. And now 15 billion pounds, Euro Petrol Union case. Attorney General steps in. And Senate to make social media platforms, bloggers have offices in Nigeria. Reps pass tax reform bills. Right, the next paper is The Guardian newspaper.
And on The Guardian newspaper, we have Rivers pipeline explosion may cost $35.3 million loss daily as state of emergency begins. All right, you also have PDP NWC kicks, that's National Working Committee, kicks as Wike revokes Wadata Plaza, new secretariat plot. That's a lot. Over 34 million citizens hungry require urgent help, says ECOWAS. All right, we also have, still on The Guardian, with Naira pushes federal government state allocation to 15.2 trillion naira amidst hunger. EFCC blames corrupt politicians, fraudsters for nation's bad image abroad. All right, Senate braces for backlash as social media bill scales second reading. Osun APC warns governors, ministers to stop the marketing party for Adeleke. Pengasson accuses federal government of aiding 11,000 Indians to secure Nigerian jobs, delivering affordable electricity beyond pledges and declarations. All right, and you also have Dangote Cement, salt, sugar business lose 423 billion naira to naira crisis. And that's the major headlines in front of the Guardian newspaper.
And quickly, let's move to the next paper for review this morning, and that's the Daily Trust newspaper. And we have on the mast of it, we have world leaders fume as Israel strike kills over 400 in Gaza. And we have revocation of our land plots to stifle opposition. That's coming from PDP. 33 killed in Edo road crashes in 2 months. The banner headline is saying, Tinubu aired by removing Fubara, deputy. That's coming from lawyers. Governor's whereabouts unknown. Military moves trucks into government house. Jonathan declares state of emergency without removing governors. Tuberculosis kills 71,000 Nigerians in 1 year. 400,000 cases recorded. And that's the much we have on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper.
And on the Nigerian Tribune, we have Tinubu puts Rivers under emergency rule, suspends governor, deputy, lawmakers, for 6 months, 6 initial months, nominate retired Vice Admiral Abbas as administrator. State judiciary remains in place. Publishes a declaration in Federal Gazette, forwards copy to National Assembly. FG can't evade the responsibility for chaos. That's coming from article. Now, 15 billion euro petroleum case, Attorney General steps in. Ogun government sets March 31 deadline for HADA's registration. UBA launches a Frigo card to revolutionize the domestic payment. Explosions rock Trans-Niger pipeline in Rivers. Police arrest 2. Now, Tinubu lacks powers to suspend elected governor. That's coming from the PDP. Rejects emergency rule in Rivers. Wants resistance to assault on democracy. Who is Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Abbas, retired. Okay, that's the new, the appointed person to lead the Rivers for the meantime. And let's see the blueprint and see stories making their headlines today.
Yeah, and on the blueprint we have state of emergency. Rivers joins Plateau Ekiti in Nigeria's 26 years of democracy. I also have rainstorm renders 100-year-old grandma, 99 others homeless in Ekiti. And then on the sports, segment there, we have NFF charges Super Eagles to beat Rwanda and Zimbabwe. Of course, the Super Eagles will be playing Rwanda on Friday, 5 p.m. Nigeria's mangrove islands annexed by Cameroon. Senate alert says 16 Akwa Ibom villages under siege. 1913 Anglo-German treaties ignored. And we also have AAC disbursed. AAC disbursed 100. FAAC disbursed 15.26 trillion naira to federal, states, and local governments in 2024. This is coming from an 80. And these are the major headlines in front of the Blueprint newspaper.
Then the last paper for review this morning, but on the list, is This Day newspaper. And the Mast is having this as a story. International Women's Month. Arise, news honors women making impact. And we have this day, the banner headline, Tinubu declares state of emergency in Rivers State. And then we have riders there saying quite a lot. Suspends Fubara Deputy State Assembly for 6 months. Appoint ex-Chief of Naval Staff Ibas as administrator. Explosion rocks 450,000 oil pipeline. Political tension escalates. And we have explosion caused by sabotage. Niger Delta Group declares activist state of explosion not politically motivated. Police arrest suspect over incidents. Fubara urges calm, says he will face challenge with unwavering faith in democratic process. NBA, president doesn't have powers to remove elected governor in state of emergency. Atiku, Dixon, monarchs condemn action, asks president to fire Wike or call him to order. Omokri Hill's move says it's right step in right direction.
All right. You know, while growing up, there's this, I think it's a novel that we read that says 1 week, 1 trouble. Yeah. You know? Yes. But today, Nigeria seems to be one day, bundles of trouble. Yeah. Or hundreds of troubles. Okay. Now, the news in fact, the story yesterday, even not just the traditional media is agog with these stories, even the social media, a lot of people are writing, people that are conversant with history of Nigeria and historically how state of emergencies are declared and what happened. Even Anambra State was even written in the news now, concerning that issue. But here we are seeing so many people rising to challenge what actually happened yesterday.
Yeah. Well, a lot, like it was captured in one of the papers this morning saying that Ekiti State has witnessed a state of emergency We've seen Yobe, Adamawa, and Borno State witnessed it. Even Plateau State witnessed it. That was in 2004. Incidentally, my sister was caught up in the mix 2004 of that religious crisis that happened. But in these cases, there was no a time we heard that the governor went on suspension for 6 months. You understand? So that the case is that, is it that Wike is so powerful that he will twist the president into getting what he wants, since Fubara isn't playing, you understand, to their agreements, so-called wardrobe or cupboard agreements, because whatever thing they agreed on wasn't to the benefit of the Rivers people, and definitely not benefit to Nigerians. So it's like Wike has the power to twist the president into getting what he wants, the resources of Rivers State, and possibly the election come 2027. So in my own opinion, I just feel that this is just a plot to get Rivers State in the kitty of the ruling party.
You know, while I was looking at all the people that are coming out to say one thing or the other, faulting what the president has done, even with the last person that actually supported, which is Reno Mokri or something, you know, I was like, this country, you know, things will be happening, and people that are supposed to talk will keep calm, you know, until another thing will have, maybe the one that is so outrageous, they will now begin to speak up.
Funny enough, even the outrageous ones, you see people trying to subtly, you know, support. I remember yesterday or sometime early this week, one of the ex-footballers, you know, dropped a cryptic, you know, he dropped a cryptic post on his Instagram, you know, somehow supporting the actions of the president, you know, saying only greedy people, you know. So, but somehow, after facing some backlash, somehow he was able to pull down that post or something like that. So, but on my own last night, I was thinking, I was like, you know, a lot of things are actually happening. Like I said, I think sometime on Monday, I said, you know, in as much as the Nigerian media, we owe the government, the PR, you know, to put the government in a very good light, to say things that, you know, to try to make people understand the actions of the government and all that. But after doing all this, we will go out there and face reality. Fuel is high, you know, everything is basically high. We are going through a lot. Now, coming to what is happening in Rivers State, sometimes I try not to use words that are very harsh or something, you know, but it's absolute rascality. You're saying you're bringing a state of emergency in Rivers State. What is Rivers State under attack? Are we having issues in Rivers State that has to do with losses of lives or something like that? We are not seeing that. So even if you want to bring a state of emergency, what you have to do, who will solve the problem? It has to be in a collaboration between the state governor and the federal government. You give the state governor the moral support, you bring everything, you work with them hand in hand, like we've seen in various states, in Plateau State, we've seen in Yobe, we've seen in many other states. So that's what the state of emergency is like. But what we're seeing in Rivers State is more like, I wouldn't want to point fingers at Wike, who people now refer to as the Mad King. If you've seen the series Game of Thrones, you were talking about the Mad King, you know, acting out of emotions, out of feelings, out of, you know, to tell people that, oh, I can pull the strings, but at the end of the day, these strings you're pulling, it's not for the interest of the average Rivers people. Rivers people are going to suffer. You're going to put the state on like a lot of things will be hanging, contracts will be stopped, a lot of projects that may be going on in the interest of Rivers people may be put on hold for the next 6 months, and a whole lot of things simply because somebody's ego is being bruised.
All right, let's move away from Rivers' story, because that's going to form our major discussion this morning after the press review. Let's move to other stories, see some other stories in the papers before.
Any other story. Let's just move to the next segment of Good Morning Anambra, which is going to be the discussion segment. And part of what we'll be talking about is still going to be the third part of Governor Soludo's 3 years in office, and then we probably might talk more on this Rivers crisis when we have our barristers that will come and delve into the matter. Actually, know if this is actually the right step in the right direction. Don't go anywhere. The show continues shortly after this break.